What's up, everybody? This is the Kent Farm podcast, and we have a few people in here today. I feel like a lot of you are in here to check out our very esteemed guests. So let's just get straight into it and introduce everyone. We got Rahul. How are things going, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on.
No worries, no worries. So, Rahul, we haven't had you on before, so just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, I'm a game developer, and I like creating animations and things like that, and really like Zach's work. So, yes, that's why I'm on here.
Fantastic. And where are you based?
I'm in Dandenong, Melbourne.
Yeah, right. Down in the ranges there. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, next up we have Marcus, who is a staple on the podcast so far. He's been on a couple of times.
Thanks for having me.
No worries, mate. And obviously we did a little chat about the stuff we're going to talk about today last night. But how are you feeling? You sat on it a little bit. You thought a little more. What's been going on today?
Yeah, just looking into everything that's kind of been dropping slowly and enjoying it all. I'm keen to talk about it.
Fantastic. And one more, we've got Ronnie. Ronnie, you've been on once before. How are things?
Things are good, bro. How are you?
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, things going real good. I'm just going to quickly adjust your microphone because you are a loud boy. All right. It's not just you. Don't worry. All right. So, let's get into it. What do we want to discuss first? I have a few things in mind, but obviously we've had a little bit of news today. Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle was announced.
Yeah, it was.
So how's everyone feeling on that? Is there anyone overly familiar with Blue Beetle? What's your thoughts there?
Not necessarily over familiar. I mean, I've seen him in Injustice 2. That's probably my biggest look at Blue Beetle. But I guess the question that comes into mind is this connected to Zach's DCEU, or is it just Hamada's DCEU?
And I think that's where a lot of everything is at the moment. You know what I mean? I still think there's nothing that necessarily steps away from canon or Zach stuff being canon outside of tone, which I think can be corrected, but it's still a big what if at the moment for everyone.
And I think the Flash movie will be telling for that too, to see whether they either steer away from it or steer towards it. So
yeah, exactly right. So I think, look, I'm excited. It's the first Latino director and the first Latino character that's being introduced into the DC universe. He is a fun character. I think he's sort of, in terms of his powers, obviously his powers coming from the Beetle, but visually I think he reminds me a lot of Cyborg. So I think that's something that's pretty cool. And it also shows us, Booster Gold is a character who goes hand in hand a lot, who I think would be super fun to portray live action outside of Smallville. I'm personally excited, but that's just me. All right, we have a lot of comments just going on here. I'm having a little laugh here. I'm going to bring some of them up. We've got some attacks on Rahul straight away.
I'm not going to explain what that one is.
No, they're all coming up. They're all coming through.
It's always good.
Yep, bit of positivity here. Please don't hate. Ban him for public indecency. Love is the answer, Rahul. All right, shut up, bananas. And of course, this one at all of us. Start on time. Damn it, that may have been me. Shout outs to all of you guys. Shout out to Ezekiel. Thanks for checking it out, man. We got a few comments. You guys are loving it. I appreciate you getting in the chat and roasting you, mate. So a couple of things. Obviously, Blue Beetle is a big deal. Same with you guys. Injustice 2 is probably my biggest introduction to him, but as a character, I have seen bits and pieces over the years. The other thing, just to briefly talk about, and it's news we got earlier in the week, and I didn't get a chance to talk about it properly, but Green Lantern on HBO officially got a shooting start date of April 11th or 12th. I think 11th here, 12th. Or anyway, April.
What do you guys think on canon implications there? Because there's still all these rumors that Zach might tease a Green Lantern. Do you think it's going to be part of the HBO Max Green Lantern?
I reckon what Clue's saying, I think it'll all sort of fit loosely. And when I say loosely, I really mean loosely. In the whole multiverse once they launch the multiverse idea officially. But yeah, I think a little bit like the whole Supergirl scenario. If Zach had one, if he had a Green Lantern, just like if he had a Supergirl, I'm pretty sure that would be the Supergirl or the Green Lantern for his SnyderVerse. And then with the multiverse option, you'd have the other lanterns and another version of Supergirl, as Grace Randolph was saying, a multiverse version of Supergirl. So that way you're keeping all the fans happy, which I think was Jim Lee's idea when he pitched this to Warner Brothers. So hopefully they respect all the fans and they keep all the universes alive. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard that the Green Lantern show was going to be apparently mostly Guy Gardner and a few of the older Lanterns. They did purposely they left out Kyle and Hal and John. So whether that's because Zach already had dibs on them, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think that the choices of lanterns is interesting because I know that with the HBO Max show, they have pitched it as a story being told over many years. So I don't think they'll necessarily interact, but I think it'll be like The Witcher where timelines are all askew. We're supposed to be getting Alan Scott. We're supposed to be getting Guy Gardner. We're supposed to be getting Kyle Rayner, I think, and then Jessica Cruz. So that being done over 4 lanterns telling, it sort of feels like maybe we'll get their stories over time and the whole, 10-episode arc could cover all of those. Whereas, as we were saying, noticeably, Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan have both been left out of that list. And you sort of have to wonder, is it for a reason? Is it because those timelines don't necessarily fit? Is it because they want to use Jessica Cruz in the SnyderVerse later on? I do think it's interesting that it's on HBO Max as well. I know it was originally pitched for that. But I think it's fairly safe to say that any forward-looking SnyderVerse stuff is probably going to land on HBO Max. And this has been announced in further detail since we've come to that conclusion. So to me, it feels like a natural extension while still being distant enough that it doesn't have to tie into any of the story, but it doesn't go against any of the story as well. It's just added to the universe.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think that's literally all I could say on that. Like, I'm super interested in getting Jessica Cruz's Green Lantern. I think that would be fantastic to see. I really want to see John and Hal appear somehow, but if they're going to appear, it's going to be Zack Snyder's Justice League 2.
I mean, how confident do you think that there's going to be a Lantern in Stack Size Justice League as we get it in March?
I am now at the point where I'm thinking it won't happen. So for me, I feel like that was always the intention, but it was never intended to be a Hal or a John, I think, for that moment. So when they've ultimately decided to put in Martian Manhunter, and we know that Martian Manhunter is going to be the one saying there's a war coming, that's gotten rid of the lanterns that we may have seen setting up Justice League 2.
Maybe, yeah. I'm still of the mind that maybe there's some kind of tease at the end, but I don't think it's going to be a full-on role as such.
Yeah, but the tease was supposed to be the role that now Martian Manhunter. In saying that, though, it's very much possible. And I
vision, that cyborg vision, maybe.
Exactly. We may see it in that. And there are all these different things that lead me to go, look, it's probably not going to happen. But at the same time, you think, we don't know that much. I feel like we feel like we know a lot, but we don't know that much, really.
I mean, it's 4 hours, so
exactly.
There's still lots of surprises for sure.
That's exactly right. I just want to bring this comment up here. Another one for Rahul there. Here's one for you guys. Charlie Hunnam, will it be Green Arrow?
That'd be the biggest troll of all if he actually does.
I mean, he already did the "We live in a society" joke. Yeah. I feel like it's not a stretch to believe that Charlie Hunnam might make an appearance. One thing with that, though,
if we got Justice League 2.
I don't think Green Arrow is far off either. I mean, we've seen Jurnee Smollett posting photos recently of her reading Green Arrow and Black Canary comics. I think it's very, very possible at this point a Black Canary and Green Arrow spin-off HBO Max series is, probable even. Because at this point, what are you teasing if not? Yeah. Will it be Charlie Hunnam? I don't know. But what's he doing at the moment? I'm from the country, right? So I'm from like regional Victoria, right where Ned Kelly, the whole Ned Kelly thing happened. Is just down the road from where I live. And a couple of years ago, Russell Crowe and Charlie Hunnam came out here to shoot a Ned Kelly TV series for Stan, or a movie for Stan. And apparently, Charlie Hunnam would just ride into town every day and then just ride his bike into town, which is 15 minutes drive after filming, and then just go around and get coffee and take photos with everyone. And the town's maybe 30,000 people. It's not massive, but everyone I had on Facebook was posting photos with Charlie Hunnam because he was just in my small town in Australia somewhere.
It's crazy.
I never got to see that Stan movie. Was it any good?
I didn't see it either.
No, I didn't either. So,
all right, we've got Ryan Reynolds in here. We've had a bit of a Ryan Reynolds discussion. I know Ronnie and I got into it a bit yesterday regarding just in terms of just how it possibility. We're talking in terms of Ryan being apparently too busy and unable to do it if we were to believe certain rumors. But Ronnie was mentioning, if that's the case, why couldn't he just do what Ezra did, which was, I'm on the set of a different film.
Yeah.
They're going to direct me. Zach will direct me via Zoom. Now, personally, for me, the point I was making was that with Fantastic Beasts and Zack Snyder's Justice League, both being under the Warner Media umbrella, or Warner Brothers umbrella, rather, they're being paid by the same people. So to shut one production down for a brief time and pay your staff to do work for another product feels to me like if you were working in a McDonald's and then a McDonald's down the road needed staff and they said, hey, can you go fill in there for a day? You know what I mean? You're ultimately getting paid by the same company to do it. Now, with the CGI, again, I think it would have been more than just a little bit for Ryan to do it, because I think he would not have touched another CGI suit, considering he's been roasting CGI and his costume for the last 10 years. So I feel like for him to do that, it's very unlikely, in my opinion. But
I don't think Zach would put him in a CGI suit anyway. If he was
I don't think so either.
You know what, though? I think Ronnie made a fair point. Zod's suit was CGI, and it looks phenomenal, and you would not be able to tell, the big, heavy suit from
parts of it. Yeah, parts of it. Top was mostly real, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so, his CGI is good, but I just think, there's no chance that Ryan would agree to that.
We've been burned one time too many.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Step away from it.
That's right. So, that's, again, just me. I think
he's been having a little, back and forth with the Snyder Cut Twitter account.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It's fun. Yeah.
I saw him posting saying that he wasn't in the film.
Yeah, and then the Snyder Cut said, just in case, we'll leave you a seat at the virtual premiere.
Yeah.
And then, it's like, I'm excited to see it.
Excellent. And that's the thing, I
Really
felt
a big fan, but...
he's clearly a fan because he was one of the earliest like non-DC celebrities to go release the Snyder Cut at an interview for his film for Netflix, which was random.
That's right. And at Brazil Comic Con, I think it was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
he mentioned
I don't know.
There.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Like I reckon. I mean, I think we'd all love to see him. I reckon if anyone could direct him in that role, it would be Zach. And I think Ryan and Zach are very smart, very clever advertisers with their marketing.
Yeah.
And this whole, even the same thing with the Sam Benjamin rumor or idea. It draws people. It gets people to tweet and to talk about the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what we want. That's what we need to see happen.
Right.
So
I wouldn't be surprised if. That's exactly right. I wouldn't be surprised if Ryan and Zach got together one day or over text or whatever and said, "Hey, what do you reckon? We'll just we'll start this rumor and we'll get Snyder Cut trending and get the fans keen." But yeah,
I can't see any connection between Zach and Ryan though. Have they worked on something together before? I don't think so.
I don't know.
No.
Not that I know.
So you wonder where that link up happened, outside of maybe a mutual disliking for Jeff Johns.
True, maybe that.
Which is very possible. But you wonder where that connection had happened, because Ryan is he's not by any means a small name. He's not like, other actors where Zach might be getting them on because they're auditioning and that's where he's meeting them. Like Ryan wouldn't be auditioning. If he wanted the role, they would look at it and go either yes or no. Like he's not auditioning for the role. He's either getting it or they're going, nah, he's not the right choice. So I don't know.
Even if it did happen, it'd be the second time there'd be like a redemption for a previous DC character, right?
Which is probably the biggest factor for me as to why I would love to see him in the role, is because I would really like it to be similar to what happened with him with Deadpool. I want him to be given a chance that he wasn't given prior, to do it with a good script, a good director. Like Chris Terrio dialogue and Zach directing, that would automatically be 100 times better than what we got.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's right.
Now this is an interesting question John's just put through for us here too, jumping off that Ryan Reynolds stuff. Talking on the Green Lantern series, Guy Gardner, Alan Scott, Jessica Cruz, and Sinestro, who would you cast? Have you guys got any thoughts off the top of your head?
I think Mark Strong was phenomenal as
that's
Sinestro. And I'd really like to
thinking.
see him again with the Terrio dialogue and sort of a Zach take on it. That'd be really cool.
I would 100% have to agree. Like that was my first thought too, and I think looking at that after credit scene, it was a little disappointing for what we got. You know what I mean? Like to see what happened with Sinestro, and then never get that shown to us outside of that one shot of him putting on the Yellow Lantern ring. I've just looked up a couple of fan casts because I can't for the life of me think.
No, I was struggling to think.
I mean, I'd honestly prefer if they went with unknowns for these guys, because like looking at Henry
sometimes it takes away, doesn't
Superman.
it? Yeah. I saw someone just a fan cast Bob Odenkirk as Lex Luthor. That ain't it, guy. That ain't it. I just having a quick look. A couple of noted names. Guy, no, we got Michael C. Hall from Dexter. That would be interesting. We got Chris Pratt. We've got who did I just see here? Old mate from New Girl or something. Jake something. Aaron Paul, Michael Rosenbaum. I could see Michael Rosenbaum in the role. This one, Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny.
Always Sunny.
I
mean,
I'll
he
tell
can
you
get
what.
into shape if he wants to.
Oh, he absolutely can. Rob McElhenney is fantastic, and if he wanted to do Green Lantern, I would be 100% behind it, because I'll be honest with you, he's probably one of my favorite people alive. So, I mean, I'm on board. Jessica Cruz, Alan Scott. I'm torn. I mean, you want to see an Alan Scott like and I don't think this is the right casting, but I'd like to think of him as someone like think Kingsman, like Colin Firth.
Like a mentor, right? Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't want Colin Firth to be in the role, but I would like it to be perceived like that sort of. Although then your question is he going to be an older version, or are we going to see a young Alan Scott, and it's set during the JSA times in the 40s?
Yeah, and if that's the case, they could kind of, I guess, touch with the Black Adam movie, I suppose.
Yeah, that's
absolutely. Which then leads into it. Black Adam, that was one that was initially pitched during the pinnacle of, actually even before Zack's DCEU. Rumors suggesting that Cavill and part of Dwayne's contract is he wants to fight Superman, and part of that was coming across there. But Henry's Superman, because they're obviously very good friends, they have the same manager who is The Rock's ex-wife. Are we expecting Black Adam to be within Zack's SnyderVerse? And if so, does that by default make Shazam, despite the tonal difference, canon? Despite the fact that people don't want to put them together, if we get a Black Adam film that sort of fits in with that, how do you guys feel?
I mean, to see Black Adam go against Superman, I think that's something that, I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone here, but that's something I really want to see, especially The Rock doing that and Henry Cavill. I think that'd be great to see.
Yep.
But if that means Shazam being part of it too, then I wouldn't have a problem with that personally.
Yep. So basing that, I guess, Do you guys, Shazam, how are your thoughts on Shazam?
Shazam, I like Shazam. I thought the tone fit the character that he needed to.
That's what I thought.
Exactly.
And David F. Sandberg kind of said that it technically is canon because he treats the world as if these guys exist. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with considering Shazam canon at all. I think it fits pretty well. And we get, I'm not a fan of the suit that they use for Superman at the end of that, but those are small things that can be.
I think that would have been better off if they couldn't get Henry Cavill, then just leave it out completely.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
And they did try to get Henry Cavill, but he couldn't. He wasn't available. Yeah.
And look, at the end of the day, like they said, or like he said, like recently they're talking about, Henry's not in Superman or in Shazam 2. And David Sandberg said, I'm not going to comment on that because he was in Shazam until he wasn't. So even if he is in this and I say he is and then something happens again, it's the same situation where suddenly we've got a headless Superman. I don't necessarily even hate that cameo. I think in terms of looking at it from a 13-year-old perspective, you sort of see that, he's standing there. I think that sort of does give that element to it. But obviously I would have loved to see Henry appear.
I reckon it can happen.
Yeah.
I reckon it can happen. I am conscious that when asked about this, Zack was pretty clear while he said, God bless those guys, when he was asked if Shazam would be in his 5-movie arc. I think that it was pretty clear that I guess in his mind, he's not part of his plans, but it does clearly fit into I think loosely into the story.
Universe. Yeah.
the universe.
I mean, and
because
I guess that's the question. I guess that's the question, isn't it? It's, does just the fact that they exist within the universe mean that they have to fit within his five story arc? No, it doesn't. But by extension, neither does Orm, but he was in Aquaman. Like, it doesn't mean that every single person that he cast has to be exclusive. That's the beauty of being able to build out the universe.
Yeah, that's how Zack always intended, right? He wanted to do his 5 movies and then kind of branch out, like you do whatever you want after.
Give directors free reign to sprout off his world. No, really cool. I really liked the movie, actually. I mean, for what it was, I actually quite enjoyed it. The Shazam movie. I wasn't a huge fan of Zachary Levi, to be honest. Just a personal opinion, but I liked the suit, and I loved the casting for the kid version of him.
Kids,
cool.
Did you now the whole Zachary Levi thing? Like, where I want to jump in on this is your dislike and not being a fan of Zachary Levi. Is that because of his like Snyder Cut statements? Like Snyder Cut doesn't exist. Shut up about it. Or you just didn't like him prior to any of that, and then he sort of started denying it, and because I know a lot of the Snyder Cut community have turned on him, and even now he's sort of saying, I'm really keen to see the film.
I wasn't actually aware of that. That wasn't the reason. No, I just personal preference in the role. I didn't. That's fine. Fun fact about Zachary Levi: it was down to him and Michael Rosenbaum for Lex Luthor in Smallville, and they obviously went with Michael Rosenbaum, but
can't even imagine that.
Which is it's funny story is that Rosenbaum did his test footage, and he said he couldn't do it in the room, so he filmed himself and he nailed it and he sent it off, and then it got down to him and Zachary Levi. Zachary Levi then went in for another audition, and they wanted Rosenbaum to come back, and he told his managers, "There's no way I'm beating what I did. Tell him I'm not coming back in. Watch the footage again." So he refused. He refused to go back in. Zachary Levi went in, and he said he had the worst audition of his life, and he felt like he ruined his chances in that. And he walked out, and he goes, "I don't have that part." And Rosenbaum just didn't audition again, and they got the part because he's just like, "I'm not doing it. There's no way I'm beating that." I thought that was interesting. But just with Shazam, I think, look, you're right. And in terms of the comments, as I said, I know a lot of people have turned on him personally because of it. But, I like him just in general. And I've listened to him a fair bit on other podcasts and that sort of stuff. I mean, I understand, but I would love to see him alongside Zach's universe as well, personally.
I think a Zach iteration of that character, even with Zach Levi, could be pretty cool. I mean, it would definitely be different. Could be darker, a bit more realistic. I don't know. I think it would be interesting.
I did appreciate that, despite the light tone, David F. Sandberg did kind of bring his horror elements to it.
Absolutely.
So, I thought it was pretty cool.
Like, I thought Mark Strong was, again, fantastic because he's just unstoppable. And, of course, then you've got John Glover returning to the DC universe was cool, and being able to see him again, I really, really enjoyed that. And, as I said, the elements, across the board, even down to... Even, one thing I don't know if you guys realize either, but the young kid who was the bigger kid, and then he ended up in the green Shazam suit when the Shazam family moment came out. The actor who played him, DJ Cortana, was Superman in George Miller's Justice League Mortal that got cancelled in 2010.
I didn't know that.
So he was supposed to be Superman 10 years ago. And then obviously Armie Hammer as Batman and Megan Gale as Wonder Woman, and the Flash was also, funnily enough, the Flash was Adam Brody, who was the Blue, who was the older Freddy. So it's cool that they seem to pick two actors that were supposed to be in the Justice League that played the Shazam family. So that's just something a little interesting there.
I love how they do that. Like that they either bring back actors that used to be in previous DC movies, or they, like even what was I thinking? On Smallville, the lady that played Martha Kent, she was in the original Superman.
Yeah.
Well, yes. And
then she was Lana as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was. And the girl that plays
Ned O'Toole.
That's right, Ned O'Toole. And then our Lois Lane from Man of Steel was in Smallville when she was younger.
Amy Adams, absolutely.
Amy Adams. So
yep.
I love how that's kind of cool.
And they do that a lot, even to the point where you look at the original Jimmy Olsen was in is going to be in Justice League. And in a different role. But you look at that, like Supergirl is a prime example. You know, Supergirl in the show, her dad is Dean Cain. Her Kryptonian mother is Erica Durance, who was Lois in Smallville as well. The president is the chick who played Supergirl, the chick who played Lois in one of the old movies. So it's cool the way they just add that through and really fill that out. It's always good to see, and I think DC does that a lot. And then down to the point where Asteria was Linda Carter in 1984, right at the end there.
That was cool. That was cool.
Yeah.
And
that was one of the
in Smallville as well, which was kind
of course, yeah. They were always really good moments, weren't they? When Christopher Reeve showed up in Smallville, was always really good to see. Aren't they looking for a younger Alan Scott for HBO Max? And I think that's the question. I think seeing an Alan Scott in his 30s or early 40s would be good. In the 30s or 40s. This is a response to John suggesting Alan Cummings or Hugh Laurie for Alan Scott, which I'm on board with. Both of those are really good.
100%.
Yeah. And like Hugh Laurie is fantastic as well. I would love to see both of those guys. You know, like I don't think either of them are a bad option. However, if they are looking for someone younger because we're doing this generational thing, you know, are we looking at a lantern every sort of 20 years or 25 years over the span of maybe 100 years or 80 years or something? Yeah. I don't know. But I think that would be cool. So I reckon ultimately we'll probably get someone younger, maybe even in their 20s. But I will say I'm really excited to see where all that goes, as opposed to and how they differentiate in their characters compared to.
Do we have a date for that show at all?
We only have the date that was given to us today, which is the 11th of April, where they start filming. Which, you know, at the end of the day, like The Flash, if we have a date for filming, it's on its way finally. You know, it's all well and good to be talking about it. They've been talking about it for over a year. Now that we've got a filming date, once the cameras start rolling, it's on the way, which is always good to see. Boys, I wanted to talk quickly about a couple of things that we got today, and one of them being Ray Fisher tweeting, "We could all use a friend like Christopher Nolan." Obviously, that's a response to the article yesterday. Christopher Nolan and Debbie Snyder watched Justice League on Zack's behalf and told him, "You can never watch this film." And obviously, Ray is backing that up. We could all use a friend like Christopher Nolan. And then folks will be anxious to let Kevin Tsuchihara and Joss Whedon take the fall for everything to do with Justice League. Both have been publicly disgraced and make for easy targets. Please don't be fooled. Toby Emmerich, Jeff Johns, and John Berg shared direct responsibility A over E. That is a tweet from Ray Fisher this morning. How do we feel?
Okay, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's what Ray's been saying this whole time, and it's good that he's trying to keep the attention focused on the guys that need the attention focused, because the other two are just kind of like already on their way out or have been, kicked out already. So yeah, I mean, I really hope it does change, but I don't really see it changing right now.
Yeah.
Maybe after the Snyder Cut comes out, and then there's kind of like this more leverage behind it, because
absolutely,
people who don't really know about this are going to be on the same page as most of us now, right? So they see how bad the theatrical really was compared to this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then once it blows up, we'll kind of start acknowledging more of what Ray's saying and everything that's going on behind that.
I think a lot of the stuff being held back with the Ray stuff, a lot of people who are even in the Snyder Cut community I've seen are probably like, yeah, I don't really believe it, and he's blowing up the chance like this is going to negatively affect the Snyder Cut, so shut up, rather than looking at it like hey, this is important regardless of the movie. And I think that has been a fairly large staple of what the release the Snyder Cut community was about to begin with. Outside of the movie, suicide prevention is a big deal. Outside of the movie, the art versus entertainment stuff is a big deal. And some people are getting caught in that. The movie's the only thing I care about, so stop doing what you're doing if it's going to negatively affect the film. I don't know if that's the right attitude. In fact, I know it's not.
Yeah, exactly. And he said from the start that he really loves being Cyborg and he supports Zack fully. But at the end of the day, this is something that's more important.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And one thing I did notice, I can't remember because I have been obviously watching this for a while, as we all have. Has he publicly mentioned Toby Emmerich before?
I was going to say that too. I'm the same.
He's usually
I have the same question.
He's usually on Hamada. He's usually talking about Hamada, and from memory, it was Jeff, Berg, Hamada, Joss Whedon, and it must. How do you mention
if he mentioned him a while back, but he certainly hasn't mentioned him recently.
Yeah.
So I noticed that too. I thought that was interesting.
I mean, I guess it'd be a good time to mention it since it's on everyone's mind after the article. Right?
Yeah.
So.
And not only that, but the comments were very, see, Toby Emmerich is such a good guy. He was the one who was behind the Snyder Cut. He's the one who made the call. He's the only reason that it's happening. There's so many people like that who I'm like, look at the big picture. Toby Emmerich didn't want to do this. He didn't want to do this at all. He was forced to do it. Warner Brothers, Warner Media came along, held Toby Emmerich's head in the toilet and said, I'll pull you out when you release the damn Snyder Cut. You are losing money for us. Simple as that. He had to make the call because of his ego. They were trying to humble him. I'm sure that's it. They were like, yeah, this is bad news for you. You need to be the one to make that call because you fucked up.
And he's still like trying to, bury it with the fact that he's not sharing it on any of the official Warner Brothers channels.
Exactly.
And it's just,
And the fact that he asked Zack to, like, his initial, I guess, deal or proposal was, release it as is without the visual effects time.
Yeah.
Which at the end of the day, we all would have been like, that's when this whole thing started. That's what I was expecting. That's what I was fighting for. I was expecting, look, you've got it there. It may not be 100%, but I want to see what it was supposed to be. So had that been the case, I wouldn't have been mad. I would have been happy that we're getting the Snyder Cut, even if it wasn't fully complete the way we're getting it now. Now, in saying that, am I glad that Zack went, no, Toby, you fucking dickhead? That's not going to happen because, as Zack said in the article, all you're doing is proving that, it's a shit product and and it was going to be bad anyway. So see, I made the right decision.
Yeah.
I'm glad that, that's going to be evidence for us to shut down. So yeah, that's fantastic. But I mean, Toby can suck.
He knew they'd use it against him too, which is why, like you said, he said no in the first place to doing that. So
Absolutely. And it's interesting to note that Zach's already obviously been through enough of this with Warner Brothers over the years to know that, well, I know what they're going to do. I know exactly what they're going to do with this. And he was, on the front foot of the corruption of them trying to take it down, of all of that messing around and sabotage. He knew what was happening. So that is interesting to note. And if that doesn't show you that this had been happening for a long time prior, I don't know what to tell you. We've got a comment from Vanessa here. Hello. I imagine
hello.
that you're here watching Marcus and all of us. But obviously it's definitely good having everyone on. I know that John, who's been commenting, he's going to join up with us very soon. And by very soon, I mean eventually. You just don't know with this guy. He'll be here and chat further in the article. But one thing that I want to chat about before then, more news that we've got. Black Canary. It's not necessarily news, but have you guys been seeing the little things around?
Yeah. I saw Gaza tweeted, and he seems to know things.
Either he knows, or he's like reading stuff and then just deliberately messing with us, which I think is a possibility.
Absolutely a possibility. I was thinking it beforehand though. The Black Canary, the Jurnee Smollett stuff, the fact that she's been reading all these comics recently and talking about it and all this sort of stuff, and then suddenly Zach and Jared Leto start following her on Twitter today.
Very sus, yeah.
But where would this have been, though, if she's in it? Do you think she was part of the additional photography?
That's what I was just about to say, yeah. I think possibly she maybe have joined in for that and then come out.
And if you're looking at her reading the comics, it was probably around then anyway. It was like probably back in November. So that's definitely interesting to consider. I have seen a couple of things, though, that I wanted to point out. One was there was rumors before Justice League came out that Black Canary was supposed to be somewhere in the Justice League film to set up her appearance in Birds of Prey, knowing that was coming down the line. There was discussion about it already, and that was probably the months leading up to it, but it's very possible that was done beforehand. Now, I don't know whether that's true, but it's possible. On top of that, when asked in an interview, who would you like to see added to the Justice League in the future, Ben Affleck immediately jumped in and said, Black Canary, because we need more women in the league. No hesitation. It sort of feels like maybe they knew. In saying that was an interview for Justice League too. So maybe that's something where she was supposed to be in it or be set up or something like that. And then they've obviously cut her. So then Ben knew the first person that he wanted to be in it when they've asked about it.
Was someone that was already meant to be in it in the first place.
Exactly.
He just couldn't bring it out with it. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, look, that's obviously all speculation. There's, aside from just connecting a few of the dots there, but I do think the biggest sort of nail in the coffin there for me is suddenly Leto and Zach following her, and it feels to me very, post the Nightmare or additional photography and shooting the Nightmare stuff. So for me, give me Nightmare Canary. I want to see Nightmare Canary. It felt very day one in Birds of Prey. Like she knew that she had the canary cry, but wasn't really doing much with it. Nightmare Canary is 5 years down the line. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
That I want to see.
Totally go a Nightmare Canary, 100%.
I mean, outside of the whole recent posts from Jurnee Smollett as well on Instagram, just chilling in leather and fishnets, you know, like making very, very obvious references. Now, again, maybe she's just rocking leather and fishnets. Maybe that's it. I did see an image today, though, of her with the staff. I have no idea where the image came from. It could be a very good Photoshop for all I know, but it was a black and white image of Canary with the staff in leather and fishnets, and it looked phenomenal. I don't know.
I saw lots of people spreading that around too. Yeah, I don't know where that came from.
And if he is in the movie, I don't think Zach's going to tease it before the movie comes out.
He'd leave that as a surprise, you'd think.
Yeah, at this point, you don't need to show me anything else.
Exactly.
I know we're getting another trailer, but I suppose it's not about it for us, is it? It's about showing how different this film is to the general audience, and I think that's sort of the point. You know, we knew, or we had suspected Martian Manhunter was going to be in it. We knew the Joker was going to be in it. There's so many people that have been added, and characters that weren't, Darkseid, Granny Goodness, all these characters that we weren't going to see. And he's sort of really emphasizing them in the promotion at the moment. And I think it is just to prove, hey, you saw this film and this film was nothing compared to what I'm actually doing.
So people that see the trailers and stuff like that are just saying, oh, it's the same movie. It's the same. Well, watch the trailer for like a split second and you'll know that it's not.
And you'll see that it's completely different.
Yeah, and when it comes out and people start talking about it, they'll go, oh, okay, maybe it is a different movie, and they'll jump on.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So I guess then,
I think some people are purposely saying that just to try and, spoil it, upset the fans, because if they, like you're saying, Marcus, if they only watched the teaser or the trailer, they'd know straight away that this is something completely different.
Well, you see people like that idiot Scott Mendelson.
Exactly.
who commented on the leaked trailer before it came out and said, it looks like if that guy's a film critic and believes that, like, where the fuck did he get his degree or credentials? Exactly. This is the guy. It makes no sense to me. How is this guy the guy that we're going to trust when he's looking at that trailer and saying, yep, exactly the same film. Like, in what world, mate? So I don't know. These people are so frustrating.
It's all about headlines, man, and clicks and tweets.
Well, that's right. And it's what it is. At the end of the day, we've just got to accept that that's what people are about, and
that's it. What do you guys reckon about Carrie Kelly? Do you guys reckon that she could be in this, or do you reckon Zach teased her in BVS and might only touch her later on in terms of bringing her in?
I think he'll want to explore the whole death of Dick Grayson first.
Yeah.
And then maybe
it makes more sense for that to be a main point. Carrie Kelly only makes sense as a character post
after everyone that's
gone. That's right. And look, I know that we weren't supposed to get Jason. I know that we weren't supposed to get Jason. We probably weren't going to get Tim or Damien either, and it was just going to go straight to Carrie. But Carrie Kelly needed to be in it if she was going to be in it after.
I was sort of more referring to a nightmare.
Yeah, the nightmare scenario. But even then, I feel like introducing her without sort of explaining the relationship with Dick goes sort of against the story.
Apparently there's going to be a hint. Zach said a hint.
I think it'd be probably more if they were doing a solo Batman, thing. Maybe that's somewhere they could bring him in.
Yeah. And look, they spoke about that. You know, that was the pitch that he did recently for the comic series. I hope they do it as a main story instead.
Yeah,
like I'd like to see it live action. But that's, you know, and I'm sure that I'm not the only one who would prefer to see it that way. But hey,
I mean,
you know,
it's going to continue in some way. It's like they're just throwing away free money at this point, right? If they don't
exactly. If you can't see the hype that is in, you know, that comes off this fandom, the amount of tweets that happens, the fact that the Snyder Cut has trended every single day, the fact that an article about Snyder comes out and Snyder trends with like 100K tweets. Like, if you can't see that power and think this is money for us to be making, we're printing money at this point, then you're an idiot. And it comes down to Toby Emmerich. You know, he has a couple of options at this point, Toby Emmerich. He either needs to admit that he's an idiot and that he messed up and that, you know, he's been doing the wrong thing this entire time and now he's going to back everything that Zach's doing, or he needs to accept that he's going to get steamrolled by the fandom because every single thing that he's done to try and mess this up, all it's done is get overdone by the fandom. He goes, let's release Godzilla vs. Kong trailer the day that the thing goes. I still haven't seen that trailer. I haven't seen it pop up on my timeline once. It got completely overshadowed by what was happening. So, you know, end of the day, if he doesn't just accept that, then he's either out of a job because they're going to go, well, look at the amount of money we have to be made. So put your ego aside for a second and just realize that if you join us, you will also make that money. That's a good thing for you. I don't know.
He just needs to, like you said, he just needs to step up and admit fault.
It's clearly ego at this point, I think. And
absolutely.
Zach gave him an out. I remember when they announced that the Snyder Cut would be coming out, he did an interview, I can't remember who with, and he mentioned that he actually praised Toby because he said, it was Toby that gave me the call to say that we're green lighting it. So I think in that moment, Zach gave him an out to jump on board the Snyder train, and he's clearly not interested.
And instead he's gone,
could you imagine if Warner Brothers had been promoting this on their YouTube channel and on their social media accounts?
50 million.
How much bigger would this be?
That's right. You look at it, it probably would have, it definitely would have been their number one stream trailer of all time. It probably would have been, I know it's already hit the top 40 most streamed movie trailers on YouTube of all time.
And it's from HBO Max that has 500K subscribers.
Yeah.
And when the thing dropped, it had 200K. So it's got 300K. They've over doubled their subscribers.
This trailer.
Just off that trailer alone. So, yeah, I think had Warner Brothers decided, yes, we're going to support this, we're going to post this. And I know Warner Brothers isn't making any money off this. This isn't theirs anymore. So, technically, but had they been supporting, and we can clearly see that they haven't, it definitely would be a much bigger factor. I want to just put it, we've still got a few people in the chat here. Obviously, we've been talking and we'll continue talking, but drop a comment, ask us a question. If you've got any thoughts on anything we're saying, please let us know and we will do this. We'll bring it up. Purple Smoke, what's up, my dude? How are things? Obviously, you can't answer back straight away, but drop a comment and let us know. But seriously, anyone who's watching right now, if you want us to talk anything DC, anything Marvel, I don't care, just drop a comment and let's keep the conversation going. I mean, end of the day, we know that Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to do well. Will it do?
Because people are going to hate watch it too. People who don't like it are going to still watch it. Yeah. The
question that remains, I suppose, we know that Wonder Woman 1984 was a huge success for HBO Max. We know that this joint streaming and theatrical release was a big success for them. It probably made its budget before marketing at the cinema, but then they got a massive amount of subscribers. Do you guys think that it's possible that Zack Snyder's Justice League will outdo it?
I really hope so.
I think so. I definitely think so. Because it's more of a curiosity thing now with like the general public. So yeah.
I think now that he's got the worldwide release, that could be a strong possibility.
Yeah, I'm sort of torn because I feel like Wonder Woman has the general audience attention 100%. They've already got it. I know a lot of people that would have gone, yeah, I'll go see Wonder Woman because it's Wonder Woman. That's young, that's old, that's people in their 50s, it's people in their 70s that were going to see Wonder Woman. And I think that's going to be the hard case for Zack Snyder's Justice League. The difference is going to be the fans know the importance of it. The fans know what they've got to do. A lot of fans are holding off HBO Max subscriptions until day of so that they can jump on it. They're going to be buying in multiple places. They're going to be so I feel like sort of for every one fan, like super fan, who's going to make sure it does well, they're probably going to see 3 times the amount. Because I know for me personally, I just booked Binge the other day. I'm going to buy it on Apple TV. I'm going to buy it on Google Play. Wherever it goes, I'm purchasing it digital across the board. I'll spend hundreds of dollars if I got to make sure that I support the Snyder Cut. If you look at that, Binge subscription, Apple TV, Google Play, iTunes, and 4K release, I'm suddenly the equivalent of 5 watches for them. So, you know, if a majority of Snyder fans are doing that, which I think is, even if not a majority, even if a minority of Snyder fans do that, I think that'll be a huge spike. But will it get the general audience the same way that Wonder Woman did? I don't know.
I think so for sure.
I think the rate that everyone's talking about it, like
it is building hype. The Joker
really helped. Yeah. But yeah, Wonder Woman did get the theatrical release, and I think that's gone on us. We don't have that yet. You know, if we had the theatrical release in some countries at least, I reckon definitely.
But then do you have to question if not having a theatrical release now will be better because more people are going to subscribe to HBO Max than Wonder Woman, where people could go to the movies but wouldn't necessarily sign up to the service.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
you know, I'm gonna come back to this question in a second, just because while we're talking on this, do you guys think Zach will eventually get his IMAX release of the movie? Yes, I do. I think, to be totally honest, I'm surprised that we don't have any information, but I also feel like they're going to be focusing on the US. Once the US is able to get the IMAX release, they know the hype. They know there's money in it. They know people like us are going to go see it regardless. So I think that that's definitely going to be the case. We will get the IMAX release. What I am interested in is I have heard rumors of discussions of a Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition, and Snyder Cut full IMAX release. So like the full 9-hour marathon. Is that something that you guys are interested in and will go to?
Of course.
Yeah. What interests me? He signed off on artwork for a box set for that too, no?
Correct. And obviously the IMAX edition of the 4K release, which was announced today as well. What I thought was interesting is that if they do that 3-film thing again, it means we're getting Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition for the first time in the cinema, but technically it should land under Batman vs Superman for the money, for the box office. Now, Batman vs Superman is like 136 million away from
A billion.
from hitting a billion. With Wonder Woman, they barely made anything because of COVID, but within the US. So if we were to get to a point where cinemas are pretty good again, that runs, there's every chance that we could get Batman vs Superman over the line of a billion mark, and I think that that's really, really interesting too. Now, granted, it'll be a second screening and all that, but at the same time, if Marvel is allowed to do the same thing with Endgame and those really, really terrible Hulk shots that were unedited, I think we can get Batman vs Superman Ultimate Edition with the 30 minutes extra and the way it was intended. I think that's fair. All right, let's go on to this one. Surprise cameo at the end. What are we thinking? I mean, we've discussed briefly, but what do we reckon?
I'm on board with the Black Canary thing, to tell you the truth. I can see that being a really possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I still think, look, it's very possible that because this interview was done in October, Martian Manhunter, who the guy was talking about, despite the fact that we already know. But I have got my fingers crossed that it's somebody else. I really want to be surprised with a bunch of things. I feel like we will be. But, yeah, Canary or Green Lantern or someone Grail, you know, I would love to see all these characters that we're not expecting to show up.
Yeah. I definitely think the same thing, but I don't think it's Martian Manhunter because of his wording. He said it'd be something that hardcore fans would, lose their mind over, and we'd already known about Martian Manhunter at that time.
See, that's what I thought initially, but then I saw Grace saying, no, it's Martian Manhunter, and the guy made a mistake. He did this interview back in October. He's had this article ready to go for a while, and he didn't realize that the news had already dropped. So take it or leave it. I'm going to lean onto the side of it's not Martian Manhunter just because that's what I want it to be. And I'll risk the disappointment if that's the case.
I'm the same. I reckon, I hear you guys. Like, Zach clearly posted that quote of "There's a war is coming" for Martian Manhunter, which we all thought was going to be the Green Lantern's quote right towards the end of the movie.
Yeah,
with that.
Well, that was his role. That was what he was supposed to be doing.
That's right. That lake house visitation to Bruce Wayne.
I don't know that was the shot. I really don't know that was the shot. I know that we talked about it. I just think it doesn't make sense to me for Green Lantern to show up there unless that shot was right at the end of the film, not where it was.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
However, I also then question why he says, let's hope you're not too late. And he really emphasizes hope. So, I mean, there is talk of Supergirl apparently appearing. Hope is also a Supergirl thing. So maybe, but then he said you'd come.
It's interesting.
Clark knowing a little bit more about Supergirl after reviving from the ship and going and getting his black suit. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. That idea just came to me right now. Could it be Supergirl? Hope Clark is the one who said it, maybe. I don't know.
We know that Josh really chopped the movie, and he reordered scenes. So I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I've really got my fingers crossed that it's Hal Jordan, or John. I know that Zach's teased the heck out of the lanterns, and even that hoodie you're wearing there, Rahul, has got a Green Lantern symbol on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My fingers crossed for Lantern. Whether he shot it 4 years ago, whether it was a Mark Wahlberg, I don't know. I'm just hoping for a Green Lantern. If it's not, I'm happy to be disappointed myself as well.
And the thing is, in what universe do we get a movie where Martian Manhunter is in it and Green Lantern is in it? You know what I mean? Like, as much as I love Martian Manhunter, he's probably one of my favorite characters in the DCEU. At what point, the DC universe and the comics, I love Martian Manhunter. I really don't think that there's a universe where Martian Manhunter is more popular and sought after than Green Lantern. Now, I just want to answer this question quickly. Did you really like WW84? I mean,
No.
you guys are just hard nosed all across the board. Rahul, you said no. Ronnie shook his head. Marcus, where are you at?
Look, I didn't hate it. Kristen Wiig and Gal Gadot were standouts for me.
Pedro Pascal was great too, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I really liked the main four. I thought they were all great in the roles. The dialogue was the issue.
The dialogue and the some of the plot was a bit hit or miss for me.
I'm also really disappointed. What they've got to stop doing is taking these great villains and just killing them immediately, like Black Mask, and not that Kristen Wiig as Cheetah was killed, but it was sort of like the way she got her powers. She had her powers. She was Cheetah for like 35 seconds, and then she was normal again. And now, in what way do you tell a story where she gets the same powers again? How does that happen without it being just another wish situation? Whereas had it been, like just any other way.
And it'd be exciting to see her again too. If they manage to figure out a way to do that, I think it'd be really awesome to see her again.
Because she was great in the role. She really was. And there is
probably my biggest problem with it was just it didn't feel like the sequel to the Wonder Woman movie got. It felt like a completely different movie. Tonally,
and that's obviously with Jeff Johns and everything. Now, there are rumors that Jeff Johns was on the set while they were shooting that mall scene, bragging about how this is the way you do a film. See, I'm so much better than Snyder. This is why. Why would anybody like anything Snyder's done? Look at the absolute genius that I've just come up with, which I thought was interesting, going right next to that introduction scene, which was very, the Amazon Warriors, very Snyder-esque. And then you put Jeff Johns' mall crap right after, and it just completely, that opening scene was the best scene in the movie. It just was. And to see Jeff Johns' idea straight after, and it probably doesn't help. I saw it at the movies, and then I watched it again with Brody, whose comment is right there. We watched it, and we watched Wonder Woman 2017 first. And I watched that, and I go, I really, really, really like the first Wonder Woman. That is such a good film.
It was a solid movie,
And then we straight away watched 1984, and I was like, this just, by comparison, is not good.
Feels
So, look, I didn't hate it, but it was probably my most disliked film in the DCEU, and
same here.
That's not including Justice League, because Justice League doesn't exist anymore. So
that's right. We reported it on Twitter.
That's what. I just want to point this out. It was a different movie. Don't Protect Patty. She's also responsible for Wonder Woman 84 being so guffy and trash. Look, I agree to a degree. I think we've seen what Patty can do when she's backed by the right people, like Snyder and the team that did the original. The decision to sort of completely remove any sort of Snyder aspects in 84 and go with what Jeff Johns believed. I just don't think Patty knows enough about the comics or characters, and she was going with whoever she felt knew more than she did, and that was Jeff Johns. Yeah. And Jeff Johns was just going like this, puppet mastering everything. And I mean, that's just my opinion. I think Patty's fine. I've liked things that I've seen from her.
I think as a director, she's good. I know Grace Randolph was also, like Purple Smoke here, very critical of her in terms of the script writing. She's basically said, "Look,
we all know that, and we all know Jeff Johns was the catalyst."
That's right. It was Jeff Johns and her. But then if you look at the writers of the Wonder Woman 2017, Zach was there, and there was someone else. I've forgotten their name.
It's Alan Heidelberg or something.
Alan something, yeah. So you could see the difference straight away. I mean, I wrote an essay pretty much on how bad I thought, everything I thought that was wrong with Wonder Woman 84. But I you know, a scene I actually did really like, apart from the one you mentioned there, Clue, was the goodbye scene with her and Steve. I thought that was quite well done.
Yeah.
But there was just so much that didn't make sense in the film, and
I felt like the pacing was also like really kind of things just kind of happened one after the other. It just felt very.
That's right, and it definitely didn't feel right. But there were moments. It had moments, and that's why I didn't trash it more, because there were aspects that I quite liked. Boys, just before we go on, I will bring in the man. We've got John. John, how you doing?
Yeah, good.
Hey.
A bit late.
Hello.
While
That's
to get
all right.
the family all sorted.
That's all right. We're here for the discussion. We're just answering some questions and talking. Just want to bring this one up. If Endgame can really release a movie to hit a market, why can't BVS? Because apparently Marvel's the only one who can do anything right, according to the internet. But we'll ignore that because we know what's going on. And if Batman vs. Superman comes back to cinema, I don't care whether I have to spend $130 million myself. I don't have it, but somehow we'll get it across the line. Do you guys think the universe has already established heroes like Soup showing up in Batman's twilight years? I don't really understand the question, to be honest. We know that Superman can't show up earlier. Will we get a Batman, or do you mean the multiverse? Like
No, I think he might be referring to, so if they really only highlighted Batman in his twilight years when it came about, they're already established here. I like, you know, we know that there's probably a Green Lantern out there, particularly from the history lesson. So there would be a whole backlog in the so-called SnyderVerse. Yeah,
I see what you mean. Like Soup showing up in Batman's twilight years. In Batman vs. Superman, Batman's done this for 20 years. And suddenly Superman shows up. So do you reckon anyone else is established?
Yeah, exactly. So clearly there's already a Wonder Woman.
Well, there's already a Wonder Woman. There's likely already a Green Lantern. Martian Manhunter's been around.
Maybe Green Arrow, because in the I'm just thinking.
You're saying that word.
Is because
Charlie Hunnam.
Charlie Hunnam.
No, not Charlie Hunnam. Well, maybe in that Dark Knight Returns, the animated version, you've got an old Green Lantern who's mates with old Bruce, and I know that Zach for BVS used a lot of that film and that comic for his inspiration, and you can see clear nods to it. So I don't know. I think that could be a possibility.
And it makes sense too, like why he wouldn't show up for these, like, you know, world-ending calamities, right? It's just Green Arrow. What's he gonna do? So yeah, it makes sense why he wouldn't, you know, get involved.
I definitely think there are existing heroes, or at least metahumans. But I think, I could be wrong here, but I think Zach said in the past that Superman was meant to be the beacon that drew them all out into the public.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So then you look at someone like Green Arrow. Is he doing what he's doing in Star City and we just don't hear about it? I mean, at the point of Batman vs. Superman, Batman's been doing it 20 years and he's still, a rumor.
Well, we know there was a Robin.
That's
yeah.
Did he get to be Nightwing?
I mean, he dies in the Robin costume, though, right? So I assume not.
But he did alternate. Sometimes.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He'd come back and help Bruce out, and sometimes he even became Batman when Bruce was away.
So, yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely likely other characters exist, and you question why. If Bruce knows that other characters exist, they can't be too active for Bruce not to know and go, hey, maybe I should get this person for Justice League. But yeah, Paul's asking this one. Best shot of the trailer for each of you. I'm still going to go with that Superman shot. I was blown away, and that's still burned into my memory. Now, that might
Which
be
one was
because
that?
I'm a massive
Opening
Superman
shot?
stan. No, the black suit, fly in,
Oh.
heat vision.
Yeah.
There
That's
we
the
go.
one. That's the one. I'm rocking the 2016 Team Kent shirt that I picked up, and I haven't worn nearly as much as I need to. But
no, I really like the design of the black suit when it was before the theatrical came out, and Henry Cavill posted a close up of it, and you could just see the texture and the color. It just really got me hyped up for nothing.
So clearly they made the black suit, and then just although I think that was the one from Man of Steel, though, wasn't it?
No, so it was actually made, I think, in an interview when this must have been as the NDAs were kicking in and they were trying to get away from it. I think Cavill came out and said it's hard to take a photo like that without wearing the suit or something. That might have been around the time when.
But we obviously saw him with the black suit. We saw him with the black suit in Man of Steel for that one shot. And then we know that by Justice League, the studio was like, nah, this ain't happening. You need to make it brighter. And he ultimately decided to make it brighter to the point where it was going to be easier for him to color correct to make it black and silver. So you sort of wonder, was the suit just the one that they did in 2013? Or whether they did make a new one and then pitch it. But either way.
There is a difference though, right? Like there's got the quote on the S. So that's kind of how you tell the difference between the Man of Steel and the BVS one.
That's true. That's very true. Do you guys think that there's going to be any sort of additional Jor-El scenes when he goes to pick up the black suit?
Yes.
I've been tweeting the shit out of Russell Crowe to try to get an answer, but he's not responding.
Come on, if he can't, why can't he respond to the Australians? I know he's a Kiwi.
Yeah, exactly. We've got to get him on.
Claim to be Aussie. Like, come on.
Zach
respond to us.
Zach did say on Vero last year I've got the screenshot somewhere, that we would hear Jor-El's voice
in the ship. And like it makes sense.
If he's going to see them,
he'd see both of them. The ship. And I really hope we do get to see, and I think we will get to see another Kevin Costner moment. Now, I'm sorry I did interrupt briefly, but the question at the bottom there, Rahul, do you want to answer your favorite shot from the trailer?
Yeah, I really like the nightmare shot of Bruce kind of turning his head to look at the Joker. That shot of Batman just, I don't know, something about it just looks really, really cool. Yeah, it's my favorite shot.
Ray, you, Marcus?
I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to choose the shot of Darkseid.
That was,
That's
the history lesson one? Yeah, right. Ronnie, what about you? What have you got? What's your favorite?
Got to say the Joker. I loved it. Just the dialogue, like it's so Terrio and Zach. It's so brilliant. One of the things I absolutely love about Zach's movies is the dialogue is just mwah.
Yeah.
So I love the Darkseid one too. That would be a close second. Just Granny Goodness.
I know.
That looks so
phenomenal.
Cool.
And then John, what are you thinking?
Yeah, it really depends on how I'm feeling. I mean, how can you go past a full Darkseid reveal that we've been waiting for a long time? But I'm with you, Clue. The first flight, black suit, hit me right in the feels with Man of Steel. I don't know what it was, but that just was really, really good.
Yeah, big deal for sure. No, I'm really, really, really excited. I'll tell you what, guys, we're going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. So obviously we can keep chatting, but if people are watching, you want any questions answered, you want to drop a comment, let us know. We'll bring it up. We'll chat about it, or we will answer it. We may not have all of the answers. We may only have speculation, but we're definitely keen to chat. So drop a comment and let us know what you guys are thinking. We've got Brendan here, Batman with his new gauntlets. That's his favorites. Yeah, I mean that. I think the cool thing about that is, as they say, the rumors that he's looked at Wonder Woman's and built his around that, and she's supposed to mention to him, "Oh, that's my thing. You know, you've stolen my thing."
Yeah.
Obviously, you've seen she's got this ability, and that'll be useful to me. I think that's really, really cool to see, and like having him, watching him reflect all of that will be very cool.
I don't know if it was a joke that was going around, maybe from a Zach interview, where he might have just been joking around, but teasing that Alfred gives Batman a little bit of shit for using Wonder Woman tech, so to speak.
Yeah,
which would be
That's
pretty
right.
interesting. This is the sort of comedy that probably fits.
One thing that I'm super curious about. Do you guys think that we're going to see obviously there's going to be a bit of nightmare sequences. The Joker is going to be one aspect of it, but do you think we are going to see the nightmare sequence where Bruce sends Barry back in time?
I don't think, not in this one. Not in this one.
Would that be something they do in like the prequel comic that he wanted to do, or like maybe save it for a sequel or something? Who knows?
I think the initial idea was that's the case, but then you look at the fact that he's got Ezra and he's filmed him. Like and for me personally, I think even if we have to get it a little early, if we were to see the scene where he sends him back and it ties it in, just knowing that we may not get a sequel, which at this point I think we can all agree is probably unlikely. That we don't get it. I think we will, but just in case we don't, I think it goes to that. If he knows that he can't do it, wouldn't you think he'd put in this thing that he always intended in putting in eventually, knowing that he wasn't going to get any more, that ties back into Batman vs Superman, so that if he doesn't get any more, the people who are like, well, that was stupid and didn't make any sense, can watch this sequel that we now are getting. It brings the full circle. And, whether or not that's something that he's jumped ahead with, I think Brendan here is agreeing. He does believe we will get it.
I could see them building the cosmic treadmill, working on it.
Yeah.
I could easily see that. I'd be keen to know what role Deathstroke and Mira have in that night.
I believe the idea was that the Joker was supposed to be the one stealing the mother box to power the cosmic treadmill.
Yeah, that's what the rumor was.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is the rumor.
So,
I find it interesting that like a lot of other channels and news places are still referring it to the 5-movie arc, right? So I know when they sort of revised it and they went from a trilogy to 2 Justice League movies, it's still kind of being referred to as a Justice League trilogy. So it's just getting me thinking that it's probably going to set up the nightmare, but if he is sort of approaching it in that 3-movie arc type thing, I think that's probably it would make more sense for a 2, late 2, maybe early 3. But if this is in mind as being a 2-parter, it could well happen. I mean, we got 4 hours.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, if they were given the green light to do 2 and 3, they got to film it back to back. It's got to be like pretty much. They got to pretty much like go and film for a year and then spend another year on it. Like earliest we'd get it at this point would probably be like 2024, 2025, maybe like a 2024, 2025 back to back because they've shot it and done it back to back. But
yeah, I mean that's assuming you can get the cast together, right? Because they're doing all kinds of other projects.
Yeah,
they've
got their
pretty
own
unlikely.
Yeah,
exactly. So I mean I don't know on that one, but
my opinion.
We'll see how we go, and that's something I'd love to see.
My opinion is if there are going to be any follow-ups, I've got a feeling they might be more of a series as opposed to movies, particularly if Zach was pushing for the series.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 episodes, 8 episodes
Yeah.
total. You're filming at a big budget. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the same amount of filming regardless.
Exactly.
But
and I've got no idea on how movie versus TV filming works, but I heard the stories of like Jeremy Irons only taking a week to film all of his stuff for Watchmen. So if you do little things like that with the tech they use for The Mandalorian,
yeah, I mean, I think it's likely different. Although if anyone can do it with the green screen and the sort of technology they're using for Mandalorian, like that's sort of where Zach came from with 300 and stuff. So I mean, it's possible, but I also think at the end of the day, they still got to film the same stuff regardless. So if it's a TV series or that's just a formatting thing, regardless of what they're doing there. Paul says, hoping the Joker scene at the end of the trailer is him betraying the League after helping them steal the Mother Box. That makes sense to me. And it may be that we don't see the Joker steal it. It's just implied that he had.
Because didn't he he was supposed to make a deal with Steppenwolf in the Ayer cut in the script?
Correct. He was supposed to give up his goons to become the first parademon so that he would get given or become the king of Gotham.
Yes, that's right. That could be. Paul might be onto something.
It's not a bad thought. Not something I'd thought thus far, but not stupid by any means. I mean, it sort of got me thinking that that's likely. So I don't know. That's just me. We've got a couple of minutes left here. Boys, do you have anything that you want to say before we go? Anything that you want to plug? By all means, chuck it in. And yeah.
Yeah, I missed the first. I got the first sort of half hour, 40 minutes, but I missed probably between 6 and 6:30. You guys chat a little bit.
No, 6:30 we started.
Oh yeah, Queensland time. Sorry.
Yeah. Of course. So we did chat about the article briefly. Was there anything that jumped out at you that you wanted to mention?
Well, I don't know. I just for this whole time I've been really wanting, Christopher Nolan to sort of speak out a little bit. And it was pretty interesting that, he'd sort of warned Zach off that he can never watch that movie. Not saying that it's Nolan's job to sort of police Hollywood, but I did find it pretty interesting that he came out pretty hard on the streaming a few months back. But when a film that he was EP on that he arguably created, there was no real sort of stuff going on publicly. But yeah, found it pretty interesting.
Absolutely. I think the fact that Nolan was there was news to all of us. I don't think anybody realized that was the case. So, it's definitely an interesting one for sure.
The only other points. It was probably one of the better articles I read recently, but the 3 points that Zach went back to WB with when they said, "Oh, well, why don't we just put it out as is?" And he obviously ward them off, saying that, well, it just gets everyone off your back. People can say,
exactly.
well, it was unfinished, and I'd have a pretty sneaking suspicion that might have been maybe a Toby Emmerich that might have requested that. Who knows?
What gave you that impression?
Yeah, I don't know.
Other than all of the sabotage going on at the moment.
Exactly.
All right, boys. Well, we'll end it there. I appreciate all of you coming on. As I said, make sure that you guys are liking and subscribing. Thanks to everyone who dropped comments and was chatting. I know we had a fair few people in here the entire time. It's super appreciated. And yeah, Rahul, Marcus, Ronnie, and John, thanks for joining me. We will definitely continue. Definitely do this. John and I are now discussing potentially rewatching Sucker Punch at some point, and then maybe doing a discussion on that. So that's something coming up.
Pass over the theatrical drinking game where you take a shot per every reshoot, or?
Well, yeah. See, the idea for that
Give that
was,
one up.
yeah, we get wrecked within the first 5 minutes of the film, and then don't have to watch the rest. So yeah, but we do have some interesting things coming up. We have an interview coming up that I think a lot of people are going to want to hear. It may involve this book that I just finished.
So
Interesting.
It's the copy editor. Whoever was the copy editor on this book, that's who we got on. For real though, again, thank you. I'm just going to chuck this up. Good show, boys. Thank you for your insight. Paul, appreciate you dropping
Paul.
comments. Thank you very much. Boys, we will chat soon. But yeah, until next time, I don't really have a sign off, but happy days. Let's keep at it. See you later, boys.
Take care, boys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.